It's an election year, so of course the budget has to be, well, the budget. You can't increase taxes, you can't do anything dramatic because then you'll lose the election. But for the ANC, I think that is a foregone conclusion. Byron, you're the financial guy of Morning Shot. Give me the breakdown of the budget for yourself.
Nothing happened, but something happened. That's basically the crux of the budget. Let's start off with the most important element, the one that we were all fearing. NHI. Everybody debated it prior to the budget coming out. They basically discussed how it would be funded. The funding option for it was very difficult. A lot of people speculated that we would have a PAYE increase, possibly a VAT increase of 2%. Not only did we not get any of those things, but they actually reduced the budget to 1.6 billion, which actually for a project of NHI size is like nothing.
Yeah, just another 289 billion rand to go. Just for the first phase of the NHI. But what is interesting about the budget is they sort of had to make up for the deficit. They're not spending any less money. Cadres need to eat at all costs. So instead of raising taxes to close down that deficit, they've just gone and stole the kitchen silverware. Like literally. There's a Forex fund at the Treasury or the Reserve Bank, I can't remember. And this Forex fund is worth 500 billion rand and it's there for like dire emergencies. For the ANC, hey, another 150 billion rand to pay salaries for the next 3 years. After this, I think they really are screwed though.
Yeah, so that actual fund that you're drawing reference to is what happens is the government has a number of like funds that they have, or Treasury has it, and they give it to the Reserve Bank, and the Reserve Bank basically uses it, and they basically capitalize on currency fluctuations. And then when the currency goes down, they buy foreign currency. When it goes up, they buy brands again, and so forth. And then they manage to make themselves some money. Basically, Forex trading. That fund now is valued at just over 500 billion. So roughly the amount that the ANC stole during COVID. Now, the reality was Gordon Guana told us during the last budget that he actually would have a budget shortfall and he would need to figure out how to fix that budget shortfall in terms of tax revenue collection come the autumn budget. And one of the first things he announced during the autumn budget was actually collections of taxes was, well, shit, because nobody's making anything. And, you know, the government for a number of years has been relying on the mining sector to basically prop up its coffers because South Africa is rich in resources and it's pretty much the only thing we're rich in, really. And the biggest problem they've got is, well, none of our infrastructure works. You can't mine because the trains are fogged, the electricity is fogged, the ports are fogged. And so mining collection around the country, including crime and union issues and lack of anybody actually wants to do their job, mining revenue is significantly down. And the worst thing that could possibly happen is they've had a global commodities contraction, which means that the actual value of the mining itself is down. The important part there to reference is everything is down. So not only did he have a surplus here to make up, but he actually had more of a surplus, more of a deficit to make up than he expected because of the lack of collections. And so he starts the entire budget off saying revenue collection has been basically suppressed. So you had to find the money from somewhere. The problem is it's an election year. So he's either going to raise taxes or he's going to find the money magically. And a lot of people speculated he would dip into this emergency fund, if you will, this fund that we haven't touched in like forever. Consider it our like strategic reserve of oil. And he's taken out 150 billion. Now, the reason he's only taken out 150 billion is they suggest that is the most he can withdraw from that fund without affecting the future ability to continue to use some money for the purpose of Forex trading. So he's actually taken the maximum amount he can without affecting that. So he hasn't taken all of it. He could have, but he has taken out the lion's share. Now, he's not going to replenish it by the next budget. So he either figures out a way to fix that budget, or as we've said, he's going to be fucked when he gets through to the next budget.
I mean, what you have here is literally the ANC being that, once again, the heroin addict, right? The heroin being the patronage network, being civil servant salaries, being what do you call it, capital outlays or bailouts of state-owned enterprises. I mean, I read a stat the other day, like close to R500 billion has been given to state-owned enterprises over the course of the last decade or decade and a half. And all we have to show for it is like stage 6 load shedding in the middle of summer in 2024. I mean, the cadres need to eat, but the cadres have eaten, and now they are quite willing to sell the family silver, literally the family silver, to ensure that the cadres continue to eat. There is no chance these cadres are actually going on diet. But the ANC is losing this election coming up. And even when faced with the consequences of all the actions, they're still like, nah, we still need to eat. It's actually quite amazing. It's like an addiction that can't be ever reached.
So that point is actually a lot more pertinent than you might think, because S&P, the foreign rating agencies, and Moody's have highlighted some of the biggest problems in South Africa is actually due to the inflated state, specifically in terms of the wage bill. And so they keep highlighting that the government needs to reduce the wage bill. They're saying it's at a point now that as a civil service, in comparison to GDP, we're actually on one of the worst performing in the world. We pay more than most people. Most of our millionaires in South Africa actually come from the civil service. That's our taxes. And we don't actually have anything to show for it. Every function of the state is broken. So all the foreign rating agencies, including the IMF, keep saying you need to reduce it. And you will have noticed, Ramon, in previous years, Gordon Gwana committed to reducing the wage bill. Yeah, not this year. It's almost like he has an election, because magically he's found a good few billion to, honor wage increases and significant wage increases for the public sector that we know long term will be unsustainable, because they've been telling us for the last how many years. This was a budget in terms of that purely to, should we say, garner favor with the unions. This is a COSATU budget.
Once again, yes, it is essentially a COSATU budget. But interestingly, no tax increases, no fuel levy increases. So there were a few increases on like vape juice and nicotine and whiskey and liquor and things like that. However, my gut feeling is let the election happen. Let the ANC get, I don't know, maybe 50%, maybe cobble together a coalition to get a majority. The midterm budget in October, they're going to bend us over without lubrication and just hit us straight. VAT increase, fuel levy increase, I don't know, tax increases. It's coming in October, depending on the election. What do you think about that?
I think it's actually going to be very difficult to do that, to be honest. I understand why you would say that, and it would be like, okay, have short-term kind of reprieve just so that you can get to the elections. We know that tax increases during an election cycle, regardless of where you are in the world, including the UK, including America, is actually very difficult. It's the easiest way to lose an election, raise taxes in an election year. And they haven't, although they have raised it on what they would class as sin tax. And the raising there has been substantial. It's been above inflation. But their golden thing now is to do the WEF kind of globalist bullshit, where they're basically doing this minimum corporation tax, this globalist minimum corporation tax, where they tax you on basically income generated anywhere in the world if you have basically an office and a domicile. And they think that by adopting this minimum tax regime, which the WEF has proposed, it will generate for them another 8 billion rand. And this is their idea on how they're going to plug the hole. I hate to tell you, Ramon, 8 billion rand don't really go that far, mate. So don't really know what they're thinking long term. And that in itself is actually the key point. They're not thinking long term. They're thinking the election. And I think they're thinking that it's going to be. I won't be surprised if after the election, Gordon Gwana is not there and it's somebody else's problem. Put it like that.
I would not be surprised either. We do expect the ANC to remain in power somehow, despite what the election results are. So, Naledi Pandor's leaving. Dubko, what's her name, is leaving as well. Other people in the ANC are leaving. And maybe Enoch Godongwana will leave as well, because I think they're all seeing the writing on the wall. It is great to eat at the trough, but the trough is now empty. So what's the point now? Civil duty as a minister? Never, my friends. Eating is what we love, and eating is what we do.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd like to say that there was much more to the budget, but there really wasn't. I mean, there were a few It was a very underwhelming budget. Everybody has rightly pointed out it's an election budget. Doesn't really upset anybody. I suppose one of the key things is that they're ending rooftop solar subsidies. I think you get to have it now until the next budget, but then it's finished. So there goes the green agenda. And, one of the other things that was really important to note is no bailouts for Transnet. Everybody found that really weird because Transnet's like one of our worst performing state-owned enterprises, and it's the one basically hobbling the economy. They said no money for it. What they said is that, no word of a lie, they said, but please, private sector, please give us some money to pay for it because we really need to fix it. So the ANC's job now appears to be, well, we can't raise taxes because we've done it too much. We sold the silver. We're going to pay off some debts with that. It's possibly going to get us, some Kusatu votes by giving the employees a pay rise. And the private sector must fix everything else. That was basically the budget in a nutshell, my friend.
Do you think that your water sources are safe? Because in Gauteng in particular, the water situation is becoming increasingly dire. With declining water supply and questionable quality, your health could be at risk. But there is a simple solution. A certified laboratory water test from H2O Guru can ensure that the water from your borehole, tap, or other sources is safe to drink. H2O Guru offers turnkey solutions to transform your water into safe, high-quality drinking water. So whether you wish to put a borehole in your property, or you already have a borehole in your property, or you just want to test the municipal water, why not give H2O Guru a call?